Good morning, everyone. Jim Laird joining you from the rooftop of my tiny home here in Gran Pacifica, Nicaragua. It's a beautiful day here today. Not as scenic as my last few lives have been at the restaurant or at the pool or on the beach, for that matter. But I love being up here on my patio. Super nice. We got Rommel over here chewing on a toy. Hope that doesn't come into the picture or the sound too much. But we have our webinar or lesson that we're doing tomorrow with Dr. Stillman and I at 10 a.m. Today's Wednesday. If you get on our email list, you go over to stillmanwellness.com. You'll get an email today letting you know how to get in on that webinar lesson. And you can listen to the replay if you can't be on the live. So we love doing that. That's part of our Fundamentals of Wellness Mastermind group that we basically are a part of. We keep adding content to that every week. Sorry, I haven't talked to anybody this morning, so I'm kind of waking up, warming myself up, so to speak. I'm having a little coffee too, so that helps. But a lot of times I won't talk to anybody till 9-10 o'clock, and then I kind of stutter through things a little bit. But we also are going to be opening up another HTMA course, HTMA Secrets, learning how to use an HTMA, how to do the testing, all those sort of things. That'll be soon. So you want to be on the email list to basically get notified about that. That's coming out here real soon. So in February, so to speak. So that's another good reason to be on the email list. Yesterday, I had a conversation with a young man who I've known for a while, and he was struggling a little bit, and he was asking me how I'm doing and if I was happy. And he's right now having a hard time. It's not in a very good place. And he's like, I'm just not happy. And I think this is something that it's very interesting where this has come from, that happiness is like a guarantee. I mean, happiness is something you feel, you experience, but it isn't like a constant state of well-being. You can be content, which I'm very content right now, and I know that I'm kind of starting all over where I'm at in my life. I've decided to reset things, and I know it's going to be different. I'm meeting a whole new group of people. I've been here a month, and there's some great people down here. There's some interesting people down here. Being introduced to a whole new culture, so that's very challenging. And with this gentleman, he's going through some interesting things right now. But the things I've always noticed, that even in the Constitution, it says the pursuit of happiness. You're not guaranteed happiness, because happiness in itself is unsustainable, because it's something you experience in the moment and then it's done. You're constantly experiencing new things, and so you're going to experience happiness along the way. But what I've found is where you make the most improvement and you really make big time changes in who you are is when you're when you're suffering. Not necessarily like suffering, but when you're not in a great place. Like, you're not going to wake up every day and feel like you want to take on the world. There's plenty of times where I don't feel like working out, but then I warm up and I start feeling better. I'm like, oh, I'm going to train today. There's plenty of days I get up and I'm just like, oh, I don't want to talk to people today. I don't want to do this today. And then you have the discipline to just keep moving forward, right? And a lot of times, those times of discomfort or not being motivated are the times when you really, really get to slow down and do that self-work on yourself, and you make some drastic, changes, or you self-reflection to really get you going in the right direction. Whereas if you're happy all the time, or if you have no, you can't feel joy without feeling pain or suffering, right? You got to have both. And so a lot of times too, if your life's really easy and everything's going smoothly, there's no real incentive for you to really dig down and make any deep changes or not. So that's why it's really difficult for people to win like repeat championships and things like that, because you've got to put the last year behind you and dig down and work and get better. And it's harder to do that when you're having success than it is when you're not, because it becomes, you get to the point where that challenge of like proving yourself and all that is highly motivating. And then once you get to the top, and that's why most people, they win a Super Bowl and they're done, they never do it again. But the ability to come back and maintain excellence, that's why, guys like Nick Saban and Bill Belichick and coaches like this have been able to maintain excellence for decades. That takes a lot of discipline, and it takes a lot of detail uh, and consistency to the basic, fundamental, boring stuff. Um, the fancy stuff is fun, but it's the boring, everyday, mundane, showing up to meetings, going to practice, getting outside, getting the sunrise, doing your walks, all these things that aren't very exciting over the long haul are the things that really, really move the needle for people. And in business, just treating people well, not being a tool. Treating people well, treating people with respect, um, being a good human overall in business is going to end up, you're going to end up doing well in the long run. So, the big thing is understanding that there are going to be peaks and valleys, and just enjoy the ride along the way. And a lot of times you're going to have a lot of challenges and suffering, and I haven't had an easy life, but I haven't had a horribly terrible life either. But really, when it's time for me to really challenge myself, I have to go within myself and look within myself. And that's, I think, with our modern world, most people go wrong. They don't take the time to look within themselves because they're so busy being distracted by phones and all the rest of the distractions that we have. And then we were sold this Disney narrative that everything's, you need to be happy and everything's easy and joy, and life is uh, lollipops and rainbows and unicorns, right? But it's not. If you accept the fact that life's difficult, and actually compared to, we have luxuries today in modern society that the kings of old never had. I mean, you've got the average American today has, way more luxuries than the kings of old, who had, servants and hundreds of people catering to them. And we have comfort and leisure that they never ever experienced, right? So part of the issue I think people are struggling so much today is because life is generally, for the average person that's in the Western world, almost too easy, right? Any kind of hardship is more emotional. Um, it's not physical. It's not, it's not, has nothing to do with like feeding yourself and going out and finding things to eat and building shelter and survival. It's more of a superficial type stuff, like, oh, I don't have the right shoes, or first world problems, I call it, right? Oh my gosh, I waited in line at Starbucks for 20 minutes for my frappuccino venti, latte, spicy pumpkin, whatever other words you want to throw in there. So, trust me, if you're living in Belize, and or not Belize, if you're living in Honduras and you're making $6 a day, that's the last thing you're going to be worried about is your frappuccino, triple latte. I mean, some of the things that Americans get bent over shape, on social media and stuff about, in the grand scheme of things, they really don't matter at all. Particularly if you're having problems putting food on your table. So it's a very interesting world we live in. And the main takeaway from this kind of ramble would be life's journey. Just kind of enjoy the ride, and enjoy when you experience joy and happiness. Enjoy it. When you experience sadness and lack of energy and all those things, own it and learn from it. Um, and just be and do, as opposed to Don't let the highs. One of the I can't remember who told me this, but I remember a very high level athlete that I worked with at some point was like, don't let the highs get too high and don't let the lows get too low. So when you have great success, don't over celebrate, and when you have great defeat, don't over like self. What would be the word? Self. Don't be too hard on yourself when you're down, and don't get too full of yourself when you're successful. I think a lot of people lose rationality as far as like they either are too negative when things are not going well, and they're too excited and too positive when things are going well. So you got to have a little bit of both, and understand that happiness is not promised; it's something you experience along the way. So have yourself a great day. I hope that resonated with you. It's something I was thinking about today while I was walking on the beach, and I enjoy actually talking with different people and kind of helping them kind of maybe see things in a different way, because I have a lot of different experiences that I'm able to share with people, and I enjoy doing that. And I like asking questions, and then kind of listening to what people have to say and learning from what other people have to say. And I'm really loving being here because I'm getting to be exposed to a whole new culture. I'm getting exposed to a whole new way of thinking. A lot of very interesting people who are a little off the beaten path. So there's a lot of great stories and a lot of very, very interesting people that just kind of do their own walk to be their own drum, which is kind of the way I've always been. So really enjoying it. So you guys have yourself a great day. Make sure you get outside, get on the email list so we can talk about gut health secrets tomorrow. And we'd love to have you there. Have yourself a great day.